This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So last class we discussed about FTP. Now coming to NFS. NFS stands Network File System.
Can you please share your screen?
Okay. NFS stands Network File System. So what is NFS? NFS is a file server to share the files under heterogeneous, developed by Sun Microsystems and Sun Solaris. Later on, it is ported to many other operating systems. So Solaris is one of the Unix operating system manufactured by Sun Microsystems, developed by Sun Microsystems. So NFS is the service first developed by Sun Microsystems on Sun Solaris 1983. Later on, it is ported to many other operating systems like FTP, NFS also file server. Already we have FTP, then why they develop NFS? Because FTP having some advantages, some disadvantages. We have already discussed what is FTP, theory and practical. Can you tell what are the advantages of FTP server? Anyone? What are the advantages of FTP? Venkat?
We can store the files and we can upload the files from anywhere, any location, and we can download the files from any location.
So FTP for upload and download. We can upload the files, we can download the files. Any other advantages? FTP is homogeneous or heterogeneous? FTP is for heterogeneous. Unix to
Heterogeneous.
Windows, Windows to Unix. Windows to Unix, Unix to Windows, we call it as heterogeneous. Any other advantage? In FTP we have anonymous logins. What is the advantage of anonymous logins? No password is required. Anyone can log into FTP server. When no password is required for anonymous logins, is it advantage or disadvantage? Very security. Anyone can log into my FTP server. Anonymous logins are by default enabled. Anyone can log into my FTP server. The very security. Is it advantage or disadvantage?
Disadvantage.
How come disadvantage? Anonymous logins only download. They can't upload the files. The default file permissions for anonymous logins only download. Any software we are downloading from internet that is called anonymous. No credentials required. You can't upload it. You can only download. So anyone can download the software from internet. All these are advantages of FTP server. What are the disadvantages in FTP? We can only share the files. We can't share the directories. we have only file sharing, no directory sharing. In FTP, no directory sharing, only file sharing. In FTP, you cannot create the file, modify the file, delete the file. Is it advantage or disadvantage? We can't create the file, modify the file, delete the file. We can't make any changes in the file. Is it advantage or disadvantage? Hmm? Yeah, is it advantage or disadvantage? It's a security, right? Security comes under advantages. It's not a disadvantage. Your job is only download and upload. So no one can delete your files. So all these are called disadvantages in FTP. And one more disadvantage, main disadvantage is data redundancy. In FTP, we have data redundancy. What is the meaning of data redundancy? Duplication. Data duplication. Why data duplication? When you upload the files from your laptop to the Google Drive, whatever copy you have in the laptop, after uploading, the same copy in the Google Drive. That is called duplication of data. If you download resume from Naukri, whatever copy we have in Naukri, after downloading, the same copy in FTP client in your laptop. So data duplication, data redundancy, wastage of the storage. And also data inconsistency. What is the meaning of inconsistency? I download some file from internet in my office laptop. Suppose I'm at office now. I download some files in my office laptop. I went to home. I don't have laptop there. My home laptop is different. At my home there is different laptop. But this data I download to the office laptop. If I go to home, I can't see the data in my home laptop, personal laptop. Again I have to download it. That is called data inconsistency. You are downloading some data, I am downloading some data. Your laptop having some copy, my laptop having some other copy. That is called data. That is called data inconsistency. All these are disadvantages in NFS server. Sorry, FTP server. So that's why they introduced NFS. In NFS, there is no data duplication. For example, when you log in as ATM user with ATM card, without downloading, we can see how much amount we have. That is called NFS. If it is FTP, we have to download it. But in ATM, we are not downloading. From wherever we draw the amount, the same changes we can see anywhere throughout the internet. So there is no data inconsistency. We are not downloading. Data consistency means what? The same data you can see from anywhere throughout the internet. Any other example for NFS apart from ATM? Gmail.com, Yahoo.com. Without downloading, we can see the mails. We can view the mails without downloading. Data is centralized. Any other example? Lot of examples. Airlines reservations, bus reservations, railway reservations. All these are data centralized. We are not downloading. Book my show. Without downloading, we can book the ticket. Without downloading, we can see what the tickets are booked. All this data is centralized. So NFS, no data duplication. In NFS, data is centralized. So this NFS in Windows we call DFS. All Unix flavors we call it as NFS. all Windows family, we call it as DFS. DFS stands distributed file system. DFS stands distributed file system. In AWS, we call it as EFS. EFS stands elastic file system. NFS in Unix, EFS in AWS Cloud. Nowadays, all the servers are Unix, all the clients are Windows. Nowadays, all the servers are Unix, all the clients are Windows. A laptop is a Windows, desktop is a Windows, but we'll always log into the Linux server from Windows client through PuTTY, any third-party software. That is called heterogeneous. But 1970s, 1980s, there was no Windows, there was no Microsoft. When there was no Microsoft 1970s, 1980s, then what was the operating system we used to use in the earlier days when there was no Microsoft? Any idea? It was Unix 1967, 1991, sorry, 1967. In the earlier days when there was no Microsoft, we used to use Unix, SCO Unix, Santa Cruz operating system. So at that time there was no Microsoft. All the servers are Unix, all the clients also Unix. Servers are Unix, clients also Unix. A server is Unix box, all the clients also Unix. But we discussed in the demo class, Unix always servers. Unix cannot be a client. Windows can be configured as a server. Windows can be configured as a client. But Unix cannot be a client. Unix always server. Then why we call it as a client? Because in the earlier days, we used to use diskless clients and dataless clients. In the earlier days, 1970s, 1980s, we used to use diskless and dataless. What's the meaning of diskless? Any idea? Venkat, have you heard about diskless?
No, sir.
Diskless,
Discuss means storage space concern.
no. Diskless, no storage. Disk means hard disk.
Yes.
Diskless means no storage, no CPU, no RAM. Diskless means no hard disk, no CPU, no RAM. Then what is there? Only monitor and keyboard. Only monitor and keyboard. This is called diskless client. 20 years back, in the railway reservation, there are CRT monitors. Those CRT monitors are diskless client. No hard disk, no CPU, no RAM, only monitor and keyboard. All these diskless clients are connected to the Unix box. Whenever you power on the diskless client, those clients are directly connected to the Unix. So you'll be working directly on the Unix server. The diskless client is a physical access. You don't know where this server is. This server is in the backend. When you power on the system, it asks for the login prompt. That means what? The diskless client is directly connected to your server, where your account has been created in the server, Unix server. Get the login prompt, give the login and password, you'll be working on the Unix server. That is called diskless. No CPU, no RAM, no hard disk. What is the advantage of diskless clients? In the earlier days, the hard disk was very, very expensive. The servers are very, very expensive. So that's why in the earlier days, 20 years back, we'll go for one server as a Unix, remaining all diskless client. The diskless client cost, I think, at the time 2000 something. So, but later they introduced dataless clients. Diskless means no hard disk. Dataless means, what's the meaning of dataless? No data. Dataless means no data. Does it have a disk? Yes, it has a disk. It has a disk, but no data. It has a CPU, it has a RAM, everything, but no data. That is called dataless client. When hard disk was introduced 1980s, at that time the hard disk was very, very expensive. So 1994-96, when I joined as a Scoinus administrator in HP, at that time the 1 GB hard disk is 1.5 lakhs. 1 GB hard disk. So hard disk was very, very expensive. So it is not possible if I want to go for all the servers with hard disk. It is not possible to keep 1 GB hard disk every system network, expensive for organization. We'll go for one server. We'll go for one server, remaining all dataless client. Meaning what? The server, here we have a 10 or 20 gig hard disk. 10 or 20 gig hard disk. Where we are going to install the database here. Remaining all dataless client. Here we'll be having 1 GB or less than 1 GB hard disk. 1 GB or less than 1 GB hard disk. That is called dataless client. Here we have operating system. To install the minimal operating system, I don't require more than 500 MB disk space. But to install the complete OS, you require minimum 2 GB storage. Here I don't have 2 GB storage to install the everything. So here we are going to install the minimal operating system, which I don't require more than 500 MB storage. So 1 GB hard disk is more than enough at the dataless client. The server where we have 10 or 20 gig hard disk, here we are going to install everything. Everything in the sense what? Man pages, everything. So whenever we are installing the OS with man pages, where the man page we are going to install, we discussed earlier, root /usr and swap. The server where we are installing man pages, we need to create a separate partition for man pages. What is the where the man pages are installed? Under /usr. Under /usr directory called share, under share directory a directory called man. So usr share man, which contains the man pages. If I am not creating usr separate partition, where usr is by default under root. usr is by default under root. That means what? Man page is also by default under root. The man page is also by default under root. Who is that knowledge IT? Hello? Please join with your name. So if you're not installing man pages, I don't require /usr separate partition. But if we're installing man pages, ESR should be a separate partition so that man pages are not installing under root in a separate partition in the hard disk. We discussed earlier. So the server where we are installing everything with man pages, we require separate partition for ESR. But here I'm not installing man pages because I don't have more than 1 GB storage. I'm going to install minimal operating system. In minimal OS, no man page will be installed. Then I require only two partitions. One is root, the other one is swap. I don't require /usr separate partition. Why? Because I'm not installing the man pages. So this is called data less client. We have a operating system, but no data, no man pages. When programmers are working a dataless client, these are called developers. They want to read the man pages. The developers require man pages, but the man page is not installed. As a Linux administrator, how to give the man pages or Unix administrator, how to give the man page access to this developer who are working at dataless client. How to give the man page access to the developers who are working at the dataless client. Anyone? You have man page in the server, right? All these are in the network. So how to access this man pages from the client? Configure this server as a FTP server. What is FTP? Upload and download. Remaining all dataless clients is configured as FTP clients. All these are FTP clients. So that I can download the man pages from FTP server to FTP client. What is the problem if you download the man pages from FTP server to FTP client? Whatever copy man page is copy in the server, after downloading, same copy at the client. Duplication of data. And moreover, you have only 1 GB storage. Man page required more than 2 GB storage. Again, I have to upgrade my hard disk 2 GB or 5 GB. Wastage of storage, duplication of data, expensive for organization. So FTP is not possible. Then we're going to configure NFS server. We configure the server as a NFS server. Remaining all NFS client. The server which I configured as NFS server, here we have to share this directory. Which directory? /usr /usr/share/man. The directory which contains man pages, share this directory NFS server. How to share the directory NFS server? How to set up NFS server? We'll see later. Assume that this directory is shared NFS server. Now how to access the directory from the client? We'll discuss only client-side configuration. At the client, create one directory mkdir /user/share/man. You have to use -p option. Why? Because under ESR there is no share directory. We can't create two directories at a time. Use -p option. We are talking about earlier days, 20 years back, not now. So create one directory at the client, then mount -t -t NFS server IP address 192.168.0.1 NFS server IP address, NFS share, what data is shared there, /usr/share/man, the shared directory, NFS server, and local mount point. Local mount point is also usr share man. What we are doing, we are mapping NFS share. We are mapping NFS share from NFS server to the local mount point. And you type df-h. You will see the output like this: 192.168.0.1 NFS share /usr/share/man. Mount point is also usr share man. So we are mapping NFS server IP address NFS share with local mount point usr share man. The developers or even system admins, Linux admins, they can run the man command, man ls, man user add, man fdisk, any command any command we can see the help by typing man command. Physically, man page where man pages are installed in the server. Physically, where the man pages are installed in the server, we are able to read through mount point. We discussed earlier, right? Mount point is a logical, file system is a physical. This is my file system. Physically, man pages are installed in the server. I can read through mount point. So whenever you required, mount the man pages, read it. If you don't require, unmount it. If you don't require, unmount it. It does not occupy any space, any storage in the local disk. Data is centralized. So mount -t NFS. Why -t NFS? There are three types of file systems. One is called disk-based file systems. Memory-based file systems, and network-based file systems. Disk-based file system. Earlier we discussed about disk management. Create the file system with fdisk command, format the file system, mount the file system. That is called disk-based. Disk-based file systems are nothing but local hard disk. Mounting the DVD. We discussed also how to mount the DVD. Mount the DVD also called disk-based file system, because these file systems always resides on local. Your hard disk, your DVD, pen drive, USB drive, all these are disk-based file system. Resides in the local system. Memory-based file system nothing but a swap, virtual memory. Network-based file system. So what we are discussing now, NFS. What is NFS? Network file system. Why it is called network file system? This file system does not reside on local. These file systems always resides on remote. So we are mounting the remote file system. We are mounting the remote file system. We can call it as RFS. RFS stands remote file system, or we can call it as NFS, network file system. That's why mount -t NFS, saying that it is not local, it is a network. So -t NFS, NFS server IP address, NFS share, mount on local mount point. That is advantage of NFS. In the earlier days, when there was no Microsoft, all the servers are Unix, all the clients were dataless clients, diskless or dataless clients. But this environment is gone. 1970s, 1980s, the hard disk was very, very expensive. But nowadays, hard disk is what? Earlier it was expensive, nowadays what? What is the opposite for expensive? Hmm? You don't know opposite expensive? Tejaswini?
Low cost
Hmm?
or cheap. Low cost or cheap.
No, it is not opposite for expensive. Inexpensive. Nowadays the hard is inexpensive. You can purchase 1 TB, 2 TB hard disk. So when you purchase laptop, by default they're going to give you 1 TB hard disk. Nowadays hard disk not expensive. It was earlier days. So no diskless, no dataless. All the servers are Unix, all the clients are Windows. But here Unix is the client. But how come Unix is the client? Unix always server. It is not diskless, it is not dataless. Means Unix always server. How come it is a client? Because it is not a diskless or dataless, it's a Linux server or Unix server. It's a server but client to the NFS service. It's a server client to the NFS service. Yesterday, we had done FTP server, FTP client. Both are Linux. I set up this server as FTP server and this server as FTP client. Both are Linux, means both are service. But it's a client to this FTP service. It's a server, but client to this FTP service. So nowadays, no diskless, no dataless, all are Unix. Unix means always server, no clients. So don't think that these clients are Windows. These clients are Windows. It's not possible. NFS only for Unix to Unix. DFS only for Windows to Windows. DFS supports only Microsoft family. NFS supports only Unix family. So all the clients are Unix, not Windows. So it's a server, but client to the NFS service. So in the real time, as a DevOps engineer or working Linux administrator, slash OPT contains all the third-party software. Whatever third-party software required for that environment, all the third-party softwares we are going to keep, download and keep in one server under OPT. And tomorrow, I'll have to set up one server like Jenkins server or Tomcat server, application server. I have a software already downloaded in the NFS server. No need to download it again. I can mount the slash OPT on local directory. So how to mount? Create one directory, any directory, let us say mkdir some test directory, then mount -t NFS server IP address, NFS share. I share the slash OPT directory, NFS server, mount it on local mount point slash test. Now type df-h, we'll see that 192.168.0.1 NFS share slash OPT mounted on slash test. So how to access this third-party software from the client? Go to OPT directory, go to mount point, cd slash OPT. You can install the package. Suppose here I have a RPM package, Java RPM package. So I can install the package RPM-IVH Java. Where the Java package physically in the NFS server. I can install from mount point, not OPT test. Go to test mount point. We can install the Java software. So keep everything in one centralized server. Wherever you require, you can mount it, you can access it. So there is no duplication of data. There is no wastage of storage. Data is centralized. Is this clear? So take the snap. I'm going to configure this server as a NFS server. So change the host name, NFS server. I'm going to configure this server as a NFS server. Remaining all NFS client. So create some directory. Let us say, for example, slash data. Copy some file to this directory slash etc slash passwd slash etc slash shadow slash etc slash group slash etc slash host all these files copy to the slash data. So we can see the files are copied to the slash data. Now share this directory. Whatever files you want to share in the network, copy those files to one directory, share this directory NFS server. So for that there is a file called configuration file /etc slash exports. /etc slash exports is the configuration file for NFS. Open the configuration file, write /data, star means for everyone, star means any system from any network, with read write and sync, Suppose you have a directory /var/ftp/pub. What this /var/ftp/pub directory contains dump of the RPM packages. If you have a dump in one server, suppose if I have a dump in this NFS server, wherever I need to install RPM package, I can mount it like this. I can install the package. In the real time, they won't provide you DVDs for every system in the real time. Only one server will have a DVD, or only one server will have a dump. On any server you want to install RPM package, I don't have a DVD here, I don't have a dump here, then I copy all the files to this directory. We discussed earlier in RPM how to copy the files. I copy all the files to this directory. I'll share this directory in NFS server and mount that NFS share on local mount point. That's what I'm sharing here. So if this directory contains dump of the RPM packages, dump of the OS, so you can share this directory for whom. If I specify the star means every system, any network for everyone. Instead of that, I can give 192.168.0.0/24. We can give only this particular network instead of all network. You want to uh, give the mount access only for particular network. Write the network ID. With read write and sync. Or you have a DVD in NFS server. The DVD of NFS server, I want to mount it. Mount it on NFS client. You have a DVD here, mount it on NFS client. First mount the DVD on /media. That media is share it in the NFS server. The /media, what is media? Mount point for the DVD. So I can write 192.168.0.10 with read write and sync. Like this, we can write multiple shares. This is the share for everyone. Anyone can mount any network, any system can mount. And this share is for only particular network, not all networks. And this share is for only particular system, particular host. Only this IP can mount, not all. Like this, we can write shares in the exports file. So, but here I'm not going to share all, only /data. Check that NFS package installed or not. How to check rpm-qa 5 grep NFS. In older version, when install the OS, NFS by default installed. In the new version, NFS not installing by default. Install the package. Yum install NFS star. Yum install. Okay. -y. Check NFS installed or not. If not installed, install the package. No service. NFS start. Start the NFS service. Failed to start. export fs -va unknown. Any error in the file? /etc/exports. Okay. Sync service NFS start. Not starting. Export fs -va. Okay. Show mount -e. RPC program not registered. Service RPC start. Not starting. RPM -p 5 grep NFS. Service port map stop. No port map. PS-A 5 grep and daemons not started. So in version 9 first time I'm configuring NFS. So previous classes I used to take version 7. Version 9 maybe they might have changes configuration part. RPC program not registered. Okay, we'll see tomorrow how to set up this NFS. So we'll see tomorrow practical.